Hey guys, I'm drummer Miles. Welcome back to another video rant about some aspect of music. This one is called How Dilla Changed Drumming. For those who don't know, J Dilla was a Detroit-based hip-hop producer. He did a lot of work in the early 90s and the 2000s. He unfortunately died at the age of 32 of a rare blood disease. He's a beloved producer. To many, he's the best of all time. He used a lot of ingenuity with the way he programmed and made his music. But a lot of people covet his drums in particular. And there's some aspects of the way he did drums, and not just him, RZA as well. Other producers did similar stuff around that time. But he really pioneered this feel that a lot of people call the drunk beat, or the, RZA's the glitch beat. But I just wanted to discuss how much his productions in particular have changed the way a lot of drummers will play drums, especially in the hip-hop, neo-soul kind of genres. He had a huge influence on the way that drummers play drums in those genres. I want to go over what exactly the drunk beat is, some of the important elements I think sometimes people miss when they are trying to play it, and show some great examples. I'm also going to show some interview footage from Questlove, the drummer for the Roots, talking about how influential J Dilla was to him as a drummer. So let's start off with a couple great examples of Dilla's drunken beat. And the first one we're going to do is his remix of Got Till It's Gone. All right, so the next example of his I just want to show you is Come Get It is a great example. Okay, so what is the drunk beat? Basically, there's a few important elements. One element is the hi-hat, the way the hi-hat swings. And this comes about because of the MPCs and a lot of the older beat production machines. They have a function on them. Specifically, the MPCs have a swing function, which say you put your hi-hats on eighth notes exactly on the grid, you can use this function to shift every other note a little bit, and it gives it a more lively, drummer-like feel, something like this. That's a very, very small amount usually, but it makes a big difference in the overall feel of the beat. The other element that I seem to see a lot of guys either don't talk about or are missing from this is that the kick and the snare are both just a little bit early on the 1 and the 3. They're like just slightly early to accentuate that hi-hat swing. So something like this. I would say a third aspect that I'll touch a little bit on later is his use of the kick drum, which is very erratic and sometimes called like drunken or, like off time. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So I want to talk about some like misconceptions, not really misconceptions, just like interpretations. Drummers have gotten their hands on these concepts and have kind of, run away with them. So if you look at somebody, like Chris Dave, who's an incredible drummer, uses it this way a lot, where he'll add an extra beat on the hi-hat. So there's that extra stroke on the hi-hat in there. So you have the straight strokes and that little hiccup stroke. But, to the point of the Dilla beat, if you're really talking about the Dilla beat, you'll notice none of his productions have that extra stroke in there. It's always just either like straight 8, straight 16, something like that, with the accents and with the swing where it wants to be. So a lot of drummers do that. It's not really like wrong. It's just I would say it's not exactly the Dilla beat. Here's a great example from a drummer I found on YouTube. I'll put his link in the description. Please go support. His name is Devonte Coleman. So amazing, great groovy beat. I just would, if somebody said the Dilla beat, I wouldn't play that extra stroke just because, it's never really in his productions. This is drummers now taking that idea and interpreting it in a way that makes sense to them. Also, for a lot of guys who are just learning this beat and trying to get it, adding that extra stroke in there makes it a lot more easy to internalize this groove, because it's just a lot more easy to keep time. You'll also see a lot of times guys playing it will like do some erratic body movement or head movement to kind of keep time with their physical body, especially when guys are just trying to learn it. You'll see this kind of thing. Because it helps you kind of keep the time if your body is in the rhythm while your hands and feet are kind of going a little slippy dippy. So I just wanted to show you a couple great examples of some awesome drummers playing the Dilla beat. Check out Daru Jones.
I give them just what they want. Say,
He's excellent at this particular kind of feel. You'll notice that he does a lot of these interesting hi-hat accents with big arm movements to kind of accentuate that feel even more. So here's an interesting version. This is J.D. Beck. That's a great Doom cover that he's doing with Domi. And you'll also notice that he's using his left foot as that extra stroke to like fill out the beat and to fill out the time. If you watch a lot of his stuff, you'll know that not only is his left hand really fast, his left foot is incredible. And that's kind of key to a lot of the stuff he does, those like fast break beats he does. You know, his left foot on the hi-hat is catching all the little dead spots in the linear progression. So now let's look at one of my favorite drummers, Nate Smith. Here's a version where he starts playing it in the eighth note feel, the standard kind of feel, and then he drops the 16ths on it. I like to say that Nate Smith has so much pocket that when he starts playing, it's like a black hole of pocket, and he just starts like sucking the pocket away from other drummers who are watching him, and they just feel their pockets like shriveling up in the presence of his pocket. Here's another great version of him doing it, and he starts out doing it very straightforward, and then you'll see he flips it entirely backwards and starts playing it in the reverse order. A really cool idea of how to interpret this beat. Nate Smith's amazing if you haven't watched him. He's one of my favorite active drummers right now. So now I just wanted to show a little bit of this great Questlove interview. I think it's with Red Bull Music Academy. I'll put the link in the description to the full video. I just pulled out some snippets that I thought were really interesting where he speaks about Dilla's influence. So this first clip, like we were talking about earlier, he mentions Dilla's erratic and kind of drunken kick drum and how much of an effect that had on him the first time he heard it.
As I'm leaving the club, I'm hearing the vibration of the kick drum, and it was the most life-changing moment I ever had. Like, I had to get out of the car and run back in the club to make sure I didn't hear what I, like, did I hear that? I mean, just the way that, whereas this part is normal, it sounded like the kick drum was played by like a drunk 3-year-old. And I was like, are you allowed to do that? So it's like, and I was like, what the hell is that? So the next day in Atlanta, I'm asking him, like, yo, what was that drunken song that y'all were playing? Like, what was that? Like, he's like, oh, yeah, it's bullshit. You know, it's produced by JD.
Dilla was famous for kind of doing things his own way. And here he is talking about how Dilla, eschewed the manuals and wanted to just, get his hands dirty into the machine and really learn the ins and outs.
Like, that's the first time I ever heard like that whole. And when I asked Bob Power about that, I was like, yo, like, how did he make it sound so messed up? He's like, because he didn't read the manual in the book. Like, so, but it had personality to it, so I just gravitated towards it.
If you don't know, Questlove's father was a musician, a band leader, and Quest played in his band a lot, and he was a very strict drums are for timekeeping, the bread and butter of the gig. So this is him talking about how liberating this kind of new concept of time and playing was.
I wanted to be ice cold, and then I met D'Angelo and J Dilla, who then like made me just dismantle everything that I knew about being cold.
So you mentioned Dilla and his influence on, your style. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of do a little sort of before and after, perhaps?
Well, yeah. So I mean, by the time of Philadelphia Half-Life, like I just wanted to be extremely cold. Even now, it's like hard for me to play perfect because I've been kind of reprogrammed to play the opposite way. That to me was the most liberating moment. Like, oh, so all this pleasing my father, being perfect, I can now now I got to undo all the education and all the hours of preparation that I did. I got to undo that.
Really cool stuff. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. Dilla had a great impact on me, but I think he had a profound impact on the drummer community outside of just the producer community, and in ways that a lot of drummers maybe don't recognize or don't appreciate. There can be a kind of snobbery towards production and drum machines and that kind of stuff. And I think it's a shame because there's a whole lot there to take advantage of. There's a lot of ideas there that are coming from like a completely different place that can dramatically affect you and your playing style and how you interact with your instrument. But that's about it for today. I just wanted to get that down. I really want to send a huge thank you to anybody who's a patron. I really can't thank you guys enough. It's wild to me that you guys are supporting me and doing this. And anybody who wants to support, I'm at patreon.com/drummermiles. This whole streaming and YouTube experience has been very positive for my mental health, and I appreciate it. And thank you guys very much. I wanted to close it out with another great version from a lesser known drummer who I think is phenomenal, Wes Watkins. I'm going to put his link down below too. Please check him out. This is him playing with his band GMOS. Super, super funky, very nice. And notice how he's using his left hand and his ghost notes on his snare to accentuate the feel in his own way. And it's just another interesting interpretation of this idea. As always, take care, be good to each other. Thank you so much.